Thank you very much, Senator Barrasso, Senator Carper, members of the committee. I can't tell you how honored I am to be here. I've spent my life trying to figure out how these systems work, particularly in water, and I thought I would. I have written testimony that's quite extensive, but I'd like to just tell you some personal stories. And our family started ranching in 1881 when my wife's great-grandfather trailed horses from the Mexican border to the Colorado-Wyoming border. Our ranch is in a valley that the state line crosses 31 times, which makes us a Colorado-Wyoming valley. And so we've learned water policy issues in both states, which sometimes are the same and sometimes are very different. But we have a lot of experience, and luckily for us, we have leadership at our conservation district level that's world-class, visionary about how we get that resilience that's going to take us to get to the future. Today on our ranch, there's a project that will be the final piece of a trout passage for the entire watershed. Will be trout passage friendly. We work with Trout Unlimited on it. It starts in the Forest Service and ends up on private land. We've done that for 20 years. This is the last project to do that. And what it did was what I call integrating our irrigation and fishery. So not only are we having a great success story for the fish part, but it's made the irrigation systems throughout the valley much more efficient and much more critically helpful for us as ranchers and farmers. A year ago, we're finishing the driest year in the history of the Yampa River. The Yampa River is the headwaters of the Colorado River. And it was brutal. We got no second cutting of alfalfa in our family. It was followed by the second worst winter I've ever experienced. And so the $61 hay that I would have put up if I'd had the water was $270 to feed my livestock because of the brutal winter, followed by maybe the top 5 wettest years that we've ever had in the springtime. And all of those things have an economic reality to them. Our community built storage years ago that I was involved in with the Wyoming legislature. Those people at the lower end of the valley with storage got that second cutting. Their fishery survived. Their process was still intact. We're working now on another project in the state of Wyoming in the upper part of the valley in coordination with the state of Colorado. We have a unanimous support from their river district, and it's about working together. And I think one of the things that's so important, this committee is called the Environment and Public Works Committee. This is the appropriate committee to deal with what I consider to be the crisis of the future. I have this saying that I believe Mother Nature always gets the last at bat. We saw that in the last 12 months of the incredible volatility. And when you talk to farmers and ranchers, it's volatility that is the issue that they talk about. I visited with a lot of people about this testimony because I think this issue is so important. A friend of mine, Jim Falstich from South Dakota, said that his governor said the 1st of September was the biggest disaster in the state of South Dakota. They then had a 12-inch rain after that. And I said, what are you going to do, Jim? He said, probably going to have to sell our cows. I saw a picture last night of relatives in Nebraska who went through flooding all last year. And the picture was them putting up what hay they were able to put up, and the bales were half sunk in another flood yesterday. And understanding this volatility issue is critical. Next week will be on a horse taking cattle off the National Forest. The National Forest is not functioning correctly. There's a study that's mentioned in my testimony of 160,000 acre-feet of water isn't going into the Platte River system because the forest isn't functioning. It is so critical that we address these issues on scale. And in my world, I talk about, you can't solve a 1,000,000-acre problem with a 100-acre solution. We have to start thinking in scale, and whether it be on the Missouri River system or the Platte River system or the Colorado River system, we have run out of easy answers. And, the event that Senator Barrasso talked about in Wyoming was on the Platte River system that was built during the Roosevelt administration, not Franklin. We're talking about century-old infrastructure that has serviced us well. The 104,000 acres that weren't able to be produced in Wyoming is an incredible, devastating event, and yet its infrastructure that was over 100 years old. So I think our challenge is rejuvenating through this committee, the appropriate committee, the ability to use our infrastructure correctly. A thing that jumped out at me real quickly was the fact that half of our fruit now comes from overseas. We've lost 1 million acres of production in the last 5 years in California, another 1 million expected in the next 5 years. We have to realize how important our infrastructure is so that America produces for itself and so that ranchers and farmers in rural America have a future that they can look forward to. My grandkids are the 6th generation on our ranch, and they all ride and rope and do all those things. If we don't understand how critical it is that our water infrastructure be taken care of, they're not going to have the opportunity that I hope that they have. Thank you very much for this opportunity.